So, very first thing when we get this going is we're going to get a little bit of water and we're going to very lightly dampen the wheel. We don't want a lot of standing water on here. If you put a lot of standing water, it's going to resist the project from sticking on there. Instead, you want a very, very small amount of moisture on there. At that point, we get our ball of clay, and we have to take this ball and smack it down directly in the middle. It's easier said than done. I have some people who will throw it down and it will land clear on the side or just off. We want to get as close to the middle as possible. And I also can't set it down like that. I have to thunk it down on there. So, making sure it's nice and rounded on the bottom, I'm going to take my ball of clay and plop it down on there. Making sure that it is definitely attached. Once it is on there, we're going to start doing our 3 main steps to turn this little ball of clay into a pot. And before we get started, I want to let you know that this is going to be very difficult. If I brought in 7-year-olds, 17-year-olds, and 37-year-olds, we would all start making caveman looking pots. It is very difficult. This is similar to learning how to be a good dancer or playing an instrument or whatever the things that you're good at. One of my students who's really good at skateboarding, after a whole semester trying this, said, this is way harder than learning how to do a kickflip. But then I asked him, how badly did you want to do that kickflip? He said, I wanted it really bad. I fell so many times doing it, but I wanted to do it. Now he's really good. So if this is something that you're interested in, yes, it's going to be difficult, but it's also going to be very, very fun. So our first step is we need to get this ball of clay centered into the middle of this bat. If it's not centered and it's wobbling like it is now, it's not going to turn into anything pretty at all. So right now what I like to call this is sort of like a Flintstone wheel. This is wobbling around, kind of bumpy. I need to get it centered more into the wheel like a modern day car. So when we're going to center, I'm going to start turning the pedal and I'm going to get this wheel going nice and fast. Pretty much as fast as it will go. Now that's going to be counterintuitive to what you want to do because obviously the speed makes us a little more nervous. We hear the wheel going, that ball of clay is moving very fast. It looks a little bit more difficult to wrangle than when it's going nice and slow. However, if I try to center this ball of clay when it's going nice and slow, any tiny movement that I do with my hands is going to impact only part of the clay and not all the clay around. So I want my wheel going nice and fast. You'll get brave and you'll get used to it. And here's the main things we're going to need. We're going to need our fast wheel, we're going to need lots of water, and I want to get my body into a wrestler position, meaning that I'm very compact, my elbows are against my body, and I'm going to be pushing with my body to force my hands to push this clay both in and down so it's centered. So I'm going to use this palm of my hand, these pads right here, to press that clay by leaning my body weight down into the wheel. So as this spins, using my left hand, I'm going to press this clay in and using my thumb down to compact that clay. Now you notice it's already started to get a little more center than it was before. And there are times where it'll get wobbly like that. I'm going to use my left hand to compress this clay so that it's no longer wobbly. If you'll notice, right down here is a little bit dry. So is my hand. If at any time you feel that there's friction, you're going to need more water. So what I like to say is as your left hand is centering, your right hand should be your water boy. The only job my right hand has right now is to squeeze this water onto here as I'm compressing this clay and pushing it into the middle. And I have a nice centered ball of clay. Is it going to be that easy? Probably not. Not for your first ball. Probably not for your 5th one, probably not for your 47th ball of clay, but it will get easier and easier. Before I move on to the next step, an important part of centering is a term you're going to hear me say over and over and over again if you watch the videos or if you have me in class, is that you always need to sneak away from the clay. And here's an example of that. I'll have a lot of students who will be centering their ball of clay and they'll get it nice and centered and then they'll let go and it's wobbly again. So they go back in there and they center their ball of clay and they let go and it's wobbly. The reason for that, again, is physics. As this clay is spinning around very fast, it has a lot of momentum, a lot of force. And if you simply let go of that force, it's going to flop. It's going to move where it wants to. So instead, when you get that ball of clay centered, your hands slowly sneak away. And that will keep the ball from wobbling on you.